Welcome north of the border to Burnaby, British Columbia for some Western Conference action in MLS NEXT Pro. Austin FC2 on the road taking on Vancouver Whitecaps FC2. James Hadnot here with you. Thank you so much for joining us. Both of these teams trying to stack some wins at the early part of the season. Austin looking for just their second win of the campaign, and Vancouver still looking for their first win of 2025. For Vancouver, a team that has put together stretches of good football at times this season. Their head coach, Ricardo Clark, has shared with me that he still wants the team to put together a full 90. They thought that they had it last time out versus Tacoma Defiance in the Cascadia Derby, but they found themselves down 5-2 after going up 2-0 against Tacoma. And Austin, a side that went up 1-0 versus North Texas, they ended up drawing and earning the extra point versus North Texas SC. As we take a look at the starting 11 for Ricardo Clark and Vancouver, sitting out a 4-4-2, just one change from the loss at the hands of Tacoma. And that's Daniel Russo, who will be playing left back today, making his Whitecaps debut and his first start. Signed from Atlanta United 2 last year, and Russo is going to be a part of this back line that is trying to be better in regards to goals allowed. They've allowed 12 goals on the year. That's third most in the Western Conference. Now taking a look at the visitors and Brett Utley's side. Coach Utley sitting out a 4-3-3. 3 changes from their draw at the hands of North Texas. Irvin Torres, Micah Burden, and Anthony Deonda will enter into the lineup. Torres as well as Burden, 2 young players that Austin is very happy with their growth. Burden on a homegrown contract, and Irvin Torres, a former MLS Next All-Star back in 2023. It is GA Cup time, and this side in Austin does have a GA Cup championship going back to 2023 at the U15 level. Vigo Ortiz was the MVP at that point in time, and Of course, later on that year, Austin won MLS Next Pro Cup. So right now, the two sides earlier this year at the GA Cup, Austin's U16s got the best of Vancouver's U16s in the championship bracket. And now it's time for play at the second team level. Whistle blows and we begin from Swangard Stadium. Austin FC2 taking on Vancouver Whitecaps FC2. James Hadnot here with you. Thank you so much for joining us on MLSNextPro.com. Alex Milosevic, the young goalkeeper. His back line, Mark O'Neill and Dembo Sadikan, and Dalen Velios and Daniel Russo are going to be key against an Austin side that is trying to turn the faucet on in regards to their offense and get things flowing. Coming into today, just 5 goals for. That is 6th least in the entire league. Only the Town in the Western Conference have scored less goals early on. Austin is going to be patient. Austin is a side that wants to dominate the game in possession. That's where that patience comes from. Bonachera. Now Torres. Bonachera slips it in. Cashuele forces the turnover, and Vancouver is a team that can counter. Selemani siphons the ball towards Cashuele. His first touch does him in, and Marcus Alstrup tries to clear it away. Vancouver will win possession back. Velios racing down the outside, sends the ball into the box. Ball's returned to Velios, but he loses possession. The counter press. Vancouver wins the ball back. Djordjevic, nice move around Bonachera. Djordjevic across the box to no one in particular. And Johnny Selemani can't track this down for Vancouver. A throw-in coming for Austin. Mentioned the defeat Vancouver had at the hands of Tacoma last time out. I asked Coach Clark what was the initial message right after the loss, and he said that it was mostly about learning from this moment. They were ahead by 2 goals against a rival on the road. Things looked very good for Vancouver before allowing 5 unanswered goals. Whitecaps got 1 back late. Scoreline was 5-3 in the end. But how do you learn from a moment like that? What is the response in the next match and for the remainder of the season? That was the question asked of Vancouver. The response starts this afternoon. Brogan can't control. Ball is dumped out in front. Nelson Pierre with it. Pierre's shot takes a deflection and loses its bite. Djordjevic still on it inside the box, cuts it back. Pierre can't control, and Diego Abarca, his forward spot, tracking back. That ends up off of Pierre for a throw-in. See how quickly Vancouver can pounce. The last time they were at home, they had chance after chance against Portland Timbers, but just could not finish. Cyprian Cashuele was behind the Timbers back line multiple times. Nelson Pierre also, who you just saw, found himself behind Portland. O'Neill looking for Georgievic, but no control from Nikola. Austin's back line is something that's difficult to break down. There's been continuity at the center back position. Both Nico Van Rijn and Antonio Gomez have played every minute of this season. Daniel Cheshla has played a large portion of the year, and Ruben Bonachera making his 5th start in as many matches. Grogan runs right into Sedekan. Now Torres wins the ball back, and Sedekan sends this well out of play. Torres and Sedekan discussing something, and it requires a conversation from our head referee. So you see here, as Torres steps in front, wins this ball, Sedekan doing his job, and there was what Irvin Torres was not happy about, the little shove after the clearance. So Mo Hesini will have to watch the conversations and the extracurriculars between Torres and Sedekan for the remainder of the match. These are two teams that are looking for wins. So the angst that comes when you're not earning 3 points a match tends to come out in different ways. Ball into the box, and Grogan in between 2 defenders did his best to put something on that, but Milosevic easily brings it in. Grogan will be the main target. He leads the team in goals, has the 2 on the year. Once again, a direct ball played by Vancouver, but ends back up with Austin. When asked about the offensive struggles, Coach Utley of Austin was very honest about how he wants his team just to be confident in possession. That was a confident look from Torres. He's tracked down by Deonda, whipped back towards the box, then handled by Vancouver. Abarca can't win it back for Austin, and Selemani is on it for Vancouver. Clark is tripped up. And a free kick coming for Vancouver. Mark O'Neill, the captain. Now to Russo, making his first appearance. Selemani can't keep control. It's out for a throw-in. Cheshla once again sends that ball back out. Selemani ends up on the pitch. He will try to walk things off. It's a very well manicured field here at Swangard Stadium. Cashwele returns to Russo, but he is dispossessed. And Cashwele just running over Micah Burton. That's a foul. And Austin will retain possession. Poor pass, Djordjevic trying to control. Irvin Torres tracks back to defend, but Djordjevic still with it. Early ball. Had the right idea, trying to play Cashwele. O'Neal goes all the way back to Milosevic. We've talked about Austin's offensive struggles, but dissecting Vancouver's defensive struggles, Mark O'Neal, the captain, was honest about how continuity is going to be key in the back. This ball sent forward. Cashwele right into Ahlstrup. A very comfortable save for the 21-year-old from Denmark. So Cashwele is never afraid to shoot from distance. And this one was on its way towards the near post. Ahlstrup was already setting up shop there. But finishing the point on Vancouver defensively, Mark O'Neal just talked about continuity. And as the team continues to play more matches together, things will shore up across the back line. Coach Clark obviously not pleased with the amount of goals given up, especially last match to Tacoma, but has all confidence in his side and shared how moments like last match not only are important for a season, but also for life. How do you respond in moments like so? More giveaway. Torres now to Abarca. Diego Abarca's shot is deflected, and it will be a corner. First corner of the day for either side. And Adrian Gonzalez getting a quick word from Brett Utley on the sideline as he makes the trek toward the corner flag. Irvin Torres is setting up on the touchline. Gonzalez plays to Torres. Ball returns to Gonzalez. Dumped in and headed away by Mark O'Neal. Only as far as Burton. Torres, his entry was handled by Vancouver. Pierre, a little touch to Selemani. Pierre back on it as advantage is being played. Cashwele catches up to this. Pierre trying to take a touch around Ahlstrup, but Marcus Ahlstrup puts his body on the line, and he cocoons over the ball. With the advantage being played and Cashwele's excellent pace, just too much on his touch, looking for Pierre. Ahlstrup is back up, and after the drop ball, play resumes. .15th minute of action. No score between Austin and Vancouver. Austin winless in its last 3 matches after earning their first win of the season in the season opener against Colorado. They scored 4 goals in that opener. Have scored just 1 since. That came last match versus North Texas. Van Rijn, Torres, little tap towards Bonachera. Ball comes to the top of the box. And that's a push from behind, as Van Rijn is guilty of the shove. So Pierre doing what a good center forward would do. Get himself in between the ball and the man and force the contact. Selemani, Cashwele. As this ball will trickle out. It should be a corner for Vancouver. Chevrolet is proud to be a partner of Vancouver Whitecaps FC since 2023. Together in this stadium, together on the pitch, and together, let's drive. Chevrolet.ca. Jackson Castro preparing to take the corner for Vancouver as we've marched into the 17th minute of action. The former Creighton Blue Jay lets it fly. Velios, O'Neal, Pierre trying to get to this, and he'll be called for the foul. So as this ball came in with pace, Velios did well to find O'Neal. And a nervy moment there for Grogan. As his hands went up into the air, the ball hit him in the chest. If that ball taps off a forearm or a bicep with his hands that high, that could have been a penalty. So Austin happy to get out of that corner with nothing more than the goal kick. Bonachera, nice touch. Ball pops out to Abarca. Torres. Deonda returns to Torres, slipping back to Anthony Deonda, cutting it back across. And it's cleared away. Nice action from Austin. This is when they're at their best. They have plenty of players that can pull the strings, whether it's a Irvin Torres, a Michael Burton, or an Adrian Gonzalez. Those are players that not only can shoot for themselves, but can create for their teammates. And Gonzalez once again stands behind this corner for Austin. Lifted towards the back post. Milosevic with the punch. Micah Burton tracks it down. Torres. Burton. All the way back to Alstrup. Marcus Alstrup, the Danish youth international, 9 caps at various youth levels, acquired last year on a 2-year deal. And Alstrup has started every single match this season for Austin. He's been a part of this consistent back line. And a back line that has just 4 goals against, which is 3rd least in the entire league. Only New England and Chattanooga have allowed less goals this year. Nice technique to keep possession for Austin. Gonzalez sprays to Bonachera. Torres, a big switch. Jackson Castro. Excellent ball into Nelson Pierre. Pierre can't complete the attack with Caswele coming in with the underlying run. Clark on this. Clark has his shot stopped before it could reach Alstrup. And Diego Abarca can't find his way around. Vancouver defender. And Whitecaps back on the ball. Georgievic. Might have had eyes for Salamani. Now Grogan. Georgievic with a slide tackle. And he is jaunting forward. Cross comes in, headed away. That was Antonio Gomez making the clearance. Grogan leaves for Deonda. Abarca. Now Gomez into Nico van Rijn. Dual Spanish and Netherlands citizen. Bonachera. Excellent ball. Torres tracks it down on the byline. Returns to Bonachera. Burton on the edge of the box. And that's a foul on Jackson Castro. And a set piece upcoming for Austin. So as Burton receives this inside the box, tiptoes out. And Castro being aggressive, taking a stab at the ball. It was too aggressive. Burton was toppled. And a set piece now for Austin, where they excel. In the 23rd minute, Gonzalez whips this in towards the back post. It's headed away. Georgievic with his eyes up. Sprays towards Caswele. But Alstrup was well off his line. Now an Austin FC player is down. Like Deonda. Anthony Deonda gives the thumbs up to the sideline. He's holding at his shoulder. Deonda, who signed with Austin FC at age 17. First academy player to sign to the second team. Former MLS Next All-Star. Champion with the team back in 2023. Hope that he is okay. Looks like he's going to continue. Austin, a team that won MLS Next Pro Cup in 2023. Did not have as successful of a season last year. A shove by Deonda. That might have been a break opportunity for Austin. Irvin Torres was about to start the race forward. And now Torres is having a conversation with our head referee. Ball's turned over. Deonda with it. 4-on-3. Deonda can't connect with Diego Abarca. Alex Milosevic, goalkeeper, joined the Whitecaps Academy back in 2023. Made his first start of the season versus Portland. Made just 6 appearances last year and had just 1 win in those 6 appearances. It was against Tacoma. Trying to lead his side to their first win of this year. Come in at 2-2. The 2 shootout wins. 4 points on the season up to this point. Georgievic right into Jackson Castro. Castro. A heavy ball into Russo. He could not control it. Deonda, nice touch around Velios, then slowed his pace. Now Torres has reinforcements starting to come into the attack. Gonzalez, Gomez, now Cheshla. Abarca, Burton. Trying to draw the ball back across. Ball's turned over by Vancouver. Grogan works back to Abarca. Torres. Now as the ball slips through, Grogan loses possession and Clark clears his lines. Vancouver showing calmness, trying to play out of the back, but when things started to break down, Mateo Clark doing the right thing and clearing the ball away. Deonda. Bonachera. BMO is proud to be a founding partner of Vancouver Whitecaps FC since 2006. Join the bank of soccer at bmo.com. Nearing the 30th minute of action. No score between Austin and Vancouver. Vancouver has had better opportunities. That ball's headed back by Sadie Khan. Pierre on the ball. And that will be a foul. And a straight red is shown. The denial of a goal-scoring opportunity. And Pierre was brought down. Nico Van Ryn knew it immediately as Pierre had gotten behind him. And Nelson Pierre slowed himself down. Van Ryn had no choice but to run him over. And with he being the last line of defense, That is a straight red. And Austin will have to play the remainder of this match down a man. We talked about the continuity of the center back pairing of Van Ryn and Antonio Gomez. Neither of them had missed a minute coming into this match. But now Van Ryn will have that streak come to a close. And Austin will have to play with 10 men for the final 70 minutes of this match. Vancouver will have this free kick from about 19 to 20 yards out. Russo with Castro, both potential options. Russo in his debut tickles the twine, and Vancouver is up 1-0. A beautiful strike by Daniel Russo. A curling effort, top corner, an almost unstoppable shot. He was signed in early April, and he makes an impact right now for Vancouver. And so now Austin finds itself down a man and down a goal. A beautiful shot from Daniel Russo.
Whitecaps FC 2 goal, his first of the season, scored in the 31st minute by number 54, Daniel Russo.
Last year, Russo played for Atlanta United 2. He came up through the Red Bulls Academy, so he's no stranger to MLS. And he has found a new home north of the border, and Vancouver is happy to have him. Whitecaps now with 10 goals on the year. That is now in a deadlock with North Texas, Ventura County, and Dynamo Dos for second in the conference. Only Tacoma Defiance has more, and they had 5 in their last match. So although that was against Vancouver, the Whitecaps have shown their ability to score goals this season. Looking for more. Velios sends the ball into the box. It's handled and rolls out. Cashuele, ball popping free, and Bonachera is there. Cashuele turning, shooting, his second shot. Oh, wow! Cashuele would not be denied. His first shot was stopped. His second one is in the back of the net. And Vancouver quickly leads by 2 goals. You see here as Cashuele came in, ball pops back to him. First shot is stopped by Antonio Gomez, but the second one, a speeding bullet past Marcus Alstrup. And Cashuele now opens his account for 2025. Kashwele last year had 4 goals on the season. Now has his first of 2025. And Vancouver in a similar spot as they were in their last match versus Tacoma. They had their first lead of the season and ended up going up 2 goals. A much different story now, leading by the 2 and up a man still. And the task grows even taller for Austin as they're looking for just their 2nd win of the year. Their team coming into today that had given up just 4 goals overall. That was 3rd least in the league. They've given up 2 goals already today. One on the free kick from Daniel Russo, and the second you just saw from Cyprian Kashwele. Nelson Pierre trying to keep the Avalanche going. Selemani. Kashwele can't connect with Russo. The 2 goal scorers trying to get on the same page. I asked Coach Clark about that message. He said they had to learn from it, and Vancouver is responding very well up to this point. And although Nelson Pierre is not on the scoreboard, Pierre, who would have had a real opportunity on goal, knew that Van Ryn was trailing, and as he made his touch, came to a halt, and Van Ryn just toppled over him. That's what turned into the red card, with Van Ryn being the last line of defense before the goalkeeper. A straight red was given, and since then, Austin has conceded 2 goals, and Vancouver is in front by 2 over the 2023 champions of MLS Next Pro. And Vancouver, with their goal, moves alone in 2nd place with 11 goals on the season in the Western Conference. Castro siphons the ball over the top. Pierre is free once again. Nelson Pierre trying to draw the ball back across. Daniel Cheshlo was there. Now Georgievic can't connect with Selemani. Simply a tall task for Austin. Vancouver, a team with plenty of athletic players in the wide areas that can stretch Austin. Russo. Pierre's header. Now Kashwele. Clark. Castro. This ball takes a deflection. It drops to Velios. He sends it back towards the face of goal, and Antonio Gomez clears it away. Russo back into the mixer. Georgievic heads this. Now the shot by Selemani is scooped up by Alstrup. There were early shouts for handball off the initial look, but Alstrup ends up with it. Austin right now, there's 5 minutes remaining in the half plus added time. How do you manage the damage? It's not going to help for Deonda as he commits the foul. And a free kick coming. And for this final 5 and change, how can you manage the damage? How can you get to halftime and then discuss a plan moving forward in the second half? Down to 10 men. Castro and Russo once again stand behind a free kick. The last set piece was a goal from that man, Daniel Russo, as Castro leaves him. Russo towards the back post, it'll bounce. Selemani can't keep it in. Nelson Pierre raises his hand. He knows he has faults in that lack of an attempt. And Austin comes away unscathed on that free kick. TELUS now offering pure fiber internet across Canada. 42nd minute of action. Vancouver leads 2-0. Goals from Cyprian Cashuele and Daniel Russo. Russo scoring from a free kick and Cashuele scoring off his own rebound. Both goals coming after a red card from Austin. You see Vancouver leading in shots and shots on target. Nelson Pierre was right there. Alstrup got a head to it outside of his own box. Gonzalez into Lopez, now wearing the captain's armband, turns it over. Selemani slipping around. Selemani still with it. And a stop by Austin. Corner coming for Vancouver, but they feel like they should have 3 on the board. As Johnny Selemani was barreling forward, he ends back up with it, but Alstrup with the kick save. Russo, who's already showcased his quality today, stands behind the corner. Sizzling ball into the box. Dropping, Pierre will let it roll and he'll pick it up. Nelson Pierre siphons the ball back in. Now Clark. Alstrup punches it away. And offside is the decision. At halftime, we'll have our goal of the week from last week. You'll see Ibrahim Kasule's excellent strike. And then conversations with Diego Garcia of North Texas SC. All coming up at the break, as we'll also recap what you've seen already today. Vancouver in front by 2 goals. Alstrup sends this away. There was a push from Velios. It was unnecessary, and Austin will have a free kick. So here's a chance to get numbers forward from Austin and maybe make something happen on the brink of halftime.
Fourth official on the sideline is indicating.
The fourth official announcing a minimum of 2 minutes of added time. Gonzalez puts this into the box. It's a header off of Antonio Gomez and out for a goal kick. So Milosevic will take his time as Vancouver tries to wind down this clock and get to halftime themselves with this 2-goal advantage. Georgievic into Pierre, returns to Georgievic, but no one there. Sadikon gets a touch here. He was there as Grogan was trailing. Selemani holds it up. Castro sends it over the top. Gomez in front of Cashuele. But this ball will only pop out as far as Selemani. Vancouver looking for more. Possession lost. Castro to Mateo Clark. And there's the halftime whistle. Vancouver takes advantage of the mistake by Nico Van Ryn and puts 2 past Marcus Alstrip. Whitecaps 2 and Austin 0 at the halftime whistle. So as the 2 teams venture into halftime, still a lot for you here on MLSNextPro.com. Now let's look back at MLS Next Pro's goal of the week. New York Red Bulls 2 midfielder Ibrahim Kasule is this week's winner. Had a fantastic goal for the Red Bulls. As we take a look at the goal from Kasule, following a corner kick, the Ugandan international controlled the ball with his chest before unleashing a beautiful strike. Kasule, excellent technique, and that was nasty. That extended his side's lead to 3-1 on the way to a 3-2 victory. Red Bulls 2 sits atop the Northeast Division standings with 10 points at this early stage of the season. It's so good, I have to give you a second look. Kasule has been a best 11 member in this league, and he continues to shine. Now it's time for a player feature. Our April Marie Aguilar sat down recently with North Texas's Diego Garcia in his native tongue.
Hola y muchas gracias por acompañarnos hoy. Mi nombre es April Marie Aguilar y este es el nuevo episodio de Player Profile y hoy tengo el gran placer de poder platicar con Diego García. Hola Diego.
Mucho gusto, mucho gusto.
¿Cómo estás hoy?
Bien, bien, ¿y usted?
Muy bien, gracias a Dios. Oye, pues ya han pasado algunos meses de que lograron el gran reto de ser nombrados como campeones, ¿verdad? Ahora, ¿cómo se sienten poder saber que ahora tienen ustedes la oportunidad de poder ser el primer equipo en lograrlo por segunda vez?
No, pues es un sueño que haber quedado campeón el año pasado y pues este año vamos a seguir con la misma mentalidad de poder lograr otra vez el logro y ser el primer equipo con el doble campeonato, así que vamos a ir, no importa lo que pase, vamos a luchar por todo, así que es un buen reto que tenemos este año.
MLS Next Pro es un camino a los pros y tú eres un ejemplo claro de eso. Pasaste por firmar con FC Dallas hace menos de 2 años a formar parte del primer equipo. ¿Cómo ha sido este camino para ti?
Ha sido un salto pues en mi vida muy grande, o sea, todo me pasó así rápido, no
Sí.
me lo esperaba y pues era como de pues seguir, pues siempre fue mi sueño de llegar a un equipo así de primera, pero primero tuve que pasar por Norte que me brindó la oportunidad de estar con ellos y pues gracias a esos 2 años buenos que tuve, se me dio la oportunidad de haber estado aquí firmado con el primer equipo.
Y de hecho tú empezaste tu carrera en otra academia. En aquel tiempo, ¿cómo imaginabas que se iba a desarrollar tu carrera?
La verdad, nunca me imaginé pues venir acá, o sea, fue como nomás una noticia que me dieron así rápido y yo tenía que tomar la decisión en 2 días o 1 día.
Sí.
Y nunca me esperaba el salir pues de donde yo era a venir acá a una pues, ciudad diferente, sin mi familia ni nada. Era un gran salto para mí.
Y también, de hecho, tuviste la oportunidad de firmar con FC Dallas a los 16 años. Y en ese tiempo, el gerente general Matt Denny dijo, aquí hay un dicho, el que es lo suficientemente bueno es lo suficientemente mayor. ¿Qué ha significado eso para ti?
Digo que pues la edad no importa, o sea, es como más bien las ganas que tienes para querer jugar y demostrar de lo que eres capaz. O sea, digo que nomás un número la edad y no importa si tienes 15, 14 años, mientras demuestres en el campo y las ganas de querer jugar es todo lo que necesitas.
Y también has tenido la oportunidad de ser parte del equipo juvenil nacional de los Estados Unidos en varias ocasiones. De hecho, más recientemente en noviembre del año pasado. ¿Cómo sientes que esas experiencias, sientes que te dan más confianza ya cuando regresas a jugar junto a North Texas SC?
Sí, pues además es un gran logro el pues, estar en el National Team, porque pues no es como que no es como que todos vayan allá y pues sí me da una confianza y pues aprendo de ir allá y pues lo intento como a enseñarles a mis compañeros como cosas que aprendí allá y pues así como nos ayudamos, pero sí me da un poco más de confianza el ir al National Team y regresar acá a mi equipo.
Bueno, y para finalizar, ¿tienes algunas metas personales que te encantaría lograr durante esta temporada, ya sea dentro o fuera del campo?
Obviamente pues ir back to back en el campeonato y pues con el primer equipo también sumar minutos y pues fuera del fútbol pues hacer más orgullosa a mi familia y pues que se sientan mucho más felices de lo que ya están.
De lo que ya están. Bueno, Diego, muchas gracias. Te deseo toda la suerte esta temporada. I'm gonna be rooting for you.
Muchas gracias.
Gracias.
Action!
Highlights and stats are coming up later in halftime, but first let's visit with another player. This time we visit with St. Louis City 2's Jaciel Orozco.
Muchas gracias por acompañarnos hoy en otro episodio de Player Profile. Hoy tengo el gran placer de poder platicar con Jaciel Orozco de St. Louis City 2. ¿Qué tal, Jaciel? ¿Cómo estás hoy?
Hola, todo bien, gracias a Dios.
Qué bueno, me da mucho gusto. Bueno, pues con tan solo 20 años lo que has podido lograr en tu carrera es bastante impresionante. Eres joven, pero con una gran experiencia
Gracias.
MLS NEXT Pro, MLS, Liga MX e incluso el fútbol de Irlanda del Norte. Cuando miras hacia atrás y te pones a reflexionar sobre tu carrera hasta ahora, ¿cómo escribirías la lucha por alcanzar tu sueño?
La verdad ha sido algo muy hermoso. Ha sido muchas cosas que no me esperaba vivir. Conversaciones que tengo con mi familia que siempre me dijeron van a ser batallas, luchas, pero experiencias muy bonitas que nunca las tienes que nomás despreciar o mirar como tal vez cosas negativas que piensas que no valen, pero todo vale. Yo sé que todo vale. Gracias a Dios ha sido todo excelente y siempre lo disfrutaré al máximo.
Y tu papá, Jorge Orozco, también jugó al nivel profesional en la Liga MX. ¿Qué has aprendido de él? ¿Te ha dado algún consejo que has podido aplicar tanto en tu carrera como en tu vida personal?
Sí, para todas las cosas en sí es siempre trabajar, seguir trabajando a pesar de las cosas como sucedan, cuando se sucedan bien, cuando se dan mal, es siempre el jugador de fútbol tiene algo que aprender. Hasta en las cosas personales, cómo gastar mi tiempo fuera de la cancha, cómo estar en cuidar mi cuerpo a la nutrición, a lo mental, a leer un libro, cosas así para la mente, para estar bien en todas las facetas de la persona y del jugador de fútbol, pero sí, desde chiquito y hasta ahora mismo que me vienen a jugar a veces, siempre está mándame los entrenamientos, los juegos, para regañarme y no tanto para aplaudirme, pero siempre de los errores aprende, ¿no? Es algo que me encanta de él, que sigue empujándome para hacer mejor y no tanto para relajarme y le debo mucho a él. Desde chiquito ha sido mi entrenador. Cuando salí de ese club fue algo difícil porque él era mi única cara de entrenador. Muy duro, la verdad, muy duro. Mi mamá, mi familia sabe de esto, pero mirando para atrás se ve que fue algo para ser un jugador diferente y en pocas palabras para sobresalir en mi carácter y la verdad, nada, se lo debo todo a él.
¿Y cómo crees que tu experiencia internacional te ha dado una ventaja cuando vienes a competir aquí en los Estados Unidos?
Al principio fue difícil, no sabía tomar ese paso, ¿no? Pero hablando con gente del club del que estuve antes, cosas que me convencieron. El año que estuve ahí, los juegos, los partidos, me tocó, gracias a Dios, ser campeón allá por primera vez. Ves muchas características del fútbol diferentes, como te decía, las culturas que es diferentes, todo lo que viene para un jugador de fútbol, tal vez mucha gente no lo ve, pero es muy importante, porque para jugar bien tiene que sentir un poquito cómodo para sobresalir y dar tu mejor forma en los partidos, en los entrenamientos, pero eso la verdad me hizo muy fuerte. La gente del club Larn FC que estuvo allá se portaron muy bien conmigo, me dieron todo para sobresalir y ser un jugador que triunfe y un jugador importante en el club y se jugó muy bien, el equipo muy bien y aprendí de muchos jugadores de experiencia que la verdad unos cracks y gracias a Dios me ha ayudado mucho.
Firmaste con St. Louis a comienzo de año. ¿Qué esperas poder aportar al equipo, tanto como atleta como en lo personal?
Sí, hablando con Critch siempre fue seguir mejorando como jugador. La trayectoria que tuvieron el año pasado de estar un poquito cortos del campeonato y esa es la meta para nosotros, ganar para todos. Yo creo que cada equipo quiere hacerlo, pero creo que nosotros con el cuadro que tenemos, con el staff que tenemos, con las personas en el club que tenemos, todo juega en uno y esa es nuestra meta y como individual es ser alguien, un líder en el equipo, alguien que los compañeros se sientan a gusto para hablar, tener una conversación y ser alguien que siga aprendiendo de cada uno y que espero que ellos puedan aprender algo de mí también.
Y bueno, este equipo llegó hasta la final de la Conferencia del Oeste el año pasado, con la mayoría del equipo regresando esta temporada. En ese caso, ¿qué podemos esperar de ustedes?
Sé que tienen ese sabor de revancha, de querer llegar y decir, oye, quedamos cortos, pero esta temporada queremos aún más. Si podemos llegar acá este año, podemos llegar aún más lejos. Entonces es aprender de lo que pasó el año pasado y mejorarlo y en esta temporada hacer las cosas correctas y llegar a la final. Y falta mucho, claro, falta mucho, es demasiado, pero es paso a paso para ser el equipo triunfador.
Bueno, Jaciel, muchas gracias por tu tiempo y te deseo toda la suerte esta temporada.
Muchas gracias. Gracias.
action.
Welcome back to action here at Swangard Stadium. Vancouver looking for their first win of the season, and they find themselves ahead 2-0 on top of Austin. Here's how we got to that point. You see, as this ball pops out to Cyprian Cashuele, had eyes for Nelson Pierre, but Marcus Alstrup was there. Alstrup was busy on the day. As this ball came behind, this is where Nico Van Ryn made the mistake. Straight red was shown after he toppled over Nelson Pierre. That meant that Austin was going to be down a man for the remainder of the match. And Vancouver made quick work of their advantage on the free kick. Daniel Russo, top corner. And he scores in his debut. And then moments later, the lead was doubled as Cyprian Cashuele's first shot was denied. His second shot screams into the back of the net. And Cashuele opens his 2025 account as Georgievic had a header. Salamani's shot was right at Alstrup, and that was the remainder of the attempts as Salamani almost had a third goal. So we're almost ready for the second half. Vancouver in front by 2 goals. Austin with a lot of work to do. Momo Hassini blows his whistle, and we begin the second half here on MLSNextPro.com. James Hadnot here with you from Swangard Stadium in Burnaby, British Columbia. Vancouver Whitecaps FC2 taking on Austin FC2. Austin as a team is not one to make defensive mistakes. That's why you have to credit Nelson Pierre getting behind the back line and then forcing Van Ryn to run him over. Cashuele tries to control this towards the byline, and it will be a corner and an early set piece for Vancouver as they look to add to their 2-goal lead. Talked at length about Vancouver offensively, how they've been one of the better teams in the Western Conference and really in the league despite not having a win through 4 matches. They scored 3 goals last match. Scored just 1 in their home opener versus Portland. That ended in a draw. Soraya Rivaldo scored the game-tying goal for the Timbers. But right now, looking for a third. Just about a minute and a half in. Sadikan with the header. And it did take a deflection. So Grogan goes out. And the substitution at the halftime break was Vlad Danchutsu. Comes on for Austin. Another corner for Vancouver. Castro lifts this into the box. Salamani heads it down, and then it's cleared away. Russo lets it rip towards Castro. Castro, ball on his foot like a string. Georgievic wins this ball. Russo. Clark. Back towards Castro, who controls. Castro cannot send it forward. And Sadikan taps that ball out. So Grogan, who led the team in goals coming into today for Austin, his day comes to a close after 45 minutes. And Vlad Danchutsu, who's made appearances in multiple matches this season, now comes on. Austin, can they find a goal to make this interesting? A lot of time to do so. And they're a team that connects passes really well. It's just, can they find an avenue forward without opening themselves up to more goals from Vancouver? This is a good start. Gonzalez into Dechutsu. Clark. Selemani. Nelson Pierre has a shot, hit Cashuele, and because he was in front of Austin's defenders, that's going to be offside. Abarca. And Irvin Torres. Abarca is fouled near midfield, and Cashuele will be shown a yellow. So Abarca is down. He'll need some help up as Cyprian Cashuele, only mistake he's made today. You see here, Cashuele just pursuing the ball, and again runs right into Abarca, who had left it for Adrian Gonzalez, and a yellow card immediately shown. Into Gonzalez, former LA Galaxy Academy man, played with Ventura County, as well as played last year with Columbus Crew 2. Burton can't control that. Selemani, slippery, sends the ball to Mark O'Neill, the captain, and the former Creighton Blue Jay brings the ball forward. Finds Georgievic. Nikola Georgievic back to Mark O'Neill. Now Georgievic looks to cross. It looked like that ball took a deflection. So a corner upcoming for Vancouver. The Caps not going to put a cap on their attack despite having the 2-goal lead, and Austin being down a man. They're going to continue to be aggressive. Russo takes this corner. Alstrup punches it high. Off the volley, Castro sends it wide. Great story. Jackson Castro, who just took that shot, and Mark O'Neill, who's the captain. Both played at Creighton together. They were roommates as sophomores and captains last year at Creighton in their final season for the Blue Jays. Also made it to the College Cup while at Creighton. So now get to share their professionals' careers as they shared their collegiate careers as teammates. Dylan Velios of Ohio State now sends to Mark O'Neill. Georgievic, who's been busy today. Velios back to Georgievic. Another clearance in behind, but another corner upcoming for Vancouver as Deonda needs help up from Adrian Gonzalez. Anthony Deonda, as you can see, laboring with that right shoulder. He went down in the first half and has been holding at it for a lot of this match. But he is continuing to play. A warrior. And Russo looking to add an assist to the goal he has on his debut. This looping cross punched away. Clark off the volley. And this one will screwball and stay in. Allstrip will handle. Now Antonio Gomez, who signed last year from Cal Baptist. Nice move from Burton. The ball has to move quickly for Austin. Down the man. Gonzalez. Burton. He's upended, and if you're Vancouver, you don't want to do that. This free kick from a nice distance away as it's taken quickly. The more chances you give Austin from dead ball situations, the worse off you're going to be. Abarca. Abarca. Nice idea as Torres made the run. The Chutsu is guilty of a foul. Vancouver made the playoffs last year, but fell in their opening round matchup to North Texas, the eventual champions. The last two MLS Next Pro champions hailing from the state of Texas. North Texas winning last year, Austin winning the year prior. But this Austin team, much different than the one that was victorious at the end of 2023. They have multiple players that have moved up to either the second tier or are playing for the first team. Russo. Selemani. Clark. Castro with Georgievic. Play the 1-2. Velios cuts it back to Castro. Velios dumps it in. That's offside. Players that come to mind that had such a big impact on the championship team for Austin. Valentin Noel playing in the second team. Playing in the second tier. CJ Fodry, a first team player. Bosi Birhuanga playing in the second tier, along with EJ Johnson. So Austin has produced a lot of talent through this second team. So while this year they have started off a little slow, Mark O'Neill sees this shot bounce off of Antonio Gomez. And now a clearance as far as Diego Abarca. Now Adrian Gonzalez with his eyes up. Austin slowly creeps forward. Torres. Abarca. Chevrolet is proud to be a partner of Vancouver Whitecaps FC since 2023. Together in this stadium, together on the pitch, together let's drive. Chevrolet.ca. 58th minute of action. Vancouver leads 2-0 on top of Austin. No scoring here in this second half. Both goals coming in the first half after Austin was guilty of a red card offense. Nico Van Ryn running over Nelson Pierre. On the ensuing free kick, Daniel Russo with an excellent strike to score. And moments later, Cyprian Casuele scoring his first goal of the season. Austin looking for something here as we near an hour gone. Just trying to inch back into this matchup. They are a team that has struggled to score on the year. Just 5 goals for through 4 matches. Only the Town has less goals in the Western Conference. Castro. Selemani. Nice touch. Now the ball still free. And a goal. Nikola Georgievic, the beneficiary of a beautiful ball from Mark O'Neill. And Georgievic opens his accounts. Nice touch from Selemani. And then is Georgievic who scores. And check that. It was Russo who played the ball across. So in his debut, Daniel Russo has a goal and an assist. And Vancouver is well out in front now, leading 3-0 on top of Austin. Substitution made. Antoine Coupland comes on. And that's an excellent sight for Vancouver fans. Coupland coming off injury. Has not played all season. Had a knee injury and had surgery in the offseason. And so his return also adds to the attacking prowess of Vancouver. Deonda still with this, and Deonda hits the woodwork. You can see he's clutching his arm towards his chest. Vancouver with their insurance and a healthy 3-goal lead now. Russo, who's had his fingerprints all over this match. Cross bounces in to Alstrip. You see the numbers well out in favor of Vancouver. They have been playing up a man since the 29th minute. And they've taken full advantage. All 3 goals coming after that 29th minute. Chutsu holding things up. Torres. And now this ball ends up to Pierre. Nelson Pierre shoots wide of the mark. Nelson Pierre coming into this match, he had 3 goals to lead Vancouver. Now substitution coming on for Austin. Micah Burden is subbed off and Mohamed Badiwia comes on.
32, leaving the game number 32, Mike Burton. Into the game number
Clark
37,
wins this ball. Georgievic. Now Cashwele. Abarca can't clear it away. Russo is on the ball for Vancouver. Russo trying to slalom through. Badawia loses possession. Cashwele. His cross bounces to Coupland, his first touch of the season. Russo drags along. Now to Sedikan. Velios had eyes for Castro, but the ball will roll out. It will be back to the drawing board for Austin. Mentioned that they have had some success. Their U16s taking down Vancouver's U16s in the championship bracket. The GA Cup going on. Mateo Clark on it for Vancouver. And then it's cleared away by Adrian Gonzalez. Abarca will keep it in. Now Torres is held up by Clark. So Torres was not happy that he was held up. So you see Mateo Clark grabbing at the jersey. Torres was not happy at all. So Mateo Clark is shown the yellow. We'll have to wait and see if Torres was shown one as well. It looked as if both got yellow cards, but we'll wait for the official announcement. As we expected, Irvin Torres for the action after the yellow card was shown. So both going to the book. Torres, what a ball, but the tap from Badawia is not past Milosevic. The touch on that ball from Torres was perfect, but Badawia could not finish. First the dummy from Torres through Castro, then an excellent ball. And Badawia with his toe could not push it past Milosevic. That's the magic that's necessary if you're Austin and want to dig your way out of this hole. Have to have some things fall your way. And almost had a moment, did Austin. BMO is proud to be a founding partner of Vancouver Whitecaps FC since 2006. Join the Bank of Soccer at BMO.com. Milosevic needing some extra time to get up. Alex Milosevic looking for his first win of the season. Had the one last year versus Tacoma. The time continues to tick. Before the Nelson Pierre shot was talking about the GA Cup, the premier tournament for youth at the U16, U18 level. Jackson Castro on the ball now. Final at the U18 level is going to be Orlando City and Colorado Rapids. Coupland into Cashuele. Ball pops free, and Nelson Pierre has his 4th of the season. Vancouver is not going to let up, and they lead by 4. Antoine Coupland starting things. Cashuele's ball comes across. Deonda could not control it, and Pierre, like a good number 9, right around the ball and takes advantage of the opportunity. So an avalanche of goals for Vancouver, and they are in front 4-0, well on their way to their first win of the season.
Whitecaps FC2 goal, his 4th of the season, scored in the 69th minute by number 42.
In the 70th minute now, and Vancouver in front 4-0 on top of Austin. Coupland. Velios, Georgievic. Coupland could not get a boot to it. Torres for Austin, surrounded. Somehow keeps possession. And that just shows the technical ability of Irvin Torres. Coach Brett Utley speaking so highly of Torres because of their relationship from when Torres was a part of the youth system, coming up from the U15 ranks all the way through and debuting for the first team at the end of last year. And just the work that he's put in just to get to this point, the humbleness that he possesses when he's with the first team, doing everything that's necessary, and that the first team players really respect him. O'Neal heads this away. Cashuele controls. Now Coupland. And Adrian Gonzalez taps that out. But Torres has worked his way up from the youth academy all the way to the first team for Austin. He was a 2023 MLS Next All-Star. He's already scored this season, and he just has great spatial awareness, great touch on the ball, which we saw earlier on the pass to Anthony Deonda, as Austin was looking for their first goal when it was 3-0. Now Jackson Castro can't connect with Cashuele. Abarca. Antonio Gomez. Mentioned he played at Cal Baptist. He led Cal Baptist in minutes in 3 consecutive seasons. He now leads Austin in minutes. He and Nico Van Ryn, the 2 center backs, were 2 players that had played every minute of the season. Van Ryn was shown the red card back in the 29th minute. And Vancouver has not looked back. Sadie Khan steps in front of this. Now Georgievic, who has a goal on the day. Excellent ball to Coupland. Antoine Coupland at the byline. Now Pierre, and it's chested away by Gomez. Coupland has showed great control since coming in. Pierre trying to win a corner. He's unsuccessful. But for Antoine Coupland, As now yellow is going to be shown to Daniel Russo. Antoine Coupland, who's coming back off injury, has looked brisk. And that's another thing that's not talked about as much with MLS Next Pro, the opportunity for players who are injured to find minutes in competitive competition.
Second substitution for Whitecaps FC team, number 64, Mateo Clark. And number 62, Luca Chen. Yellow card caution assessed for Whitecaps FC2, number 54, Daniel Russo.
Adrian Gonzalez is pushed down by Coupland. That's a foul. So Mateo Clark comes out, and Luca Chin comes on for him. We have reached the final quarter of an hour. Vancouver well out in front by 4 goals. Led 2-0 at halftime, have added 2 more here in the second half. Nikola Georgievic and Nelson Pierre both scoring in the second half. First half goals were scored by Daniel Russo and Cyprian Cashuele. Vlad Denchutsu, nice first touch, but could not keep possession. But a poor clearance. Denchutsu. And this is just wide of Milosevic. Milosevic might have got a touch to it. So Milosevic did get a hand to that, so a corner upcoming for Austin. Austin plays it short. Abarca towards the back post. It's headed away by Velios. Mohamed Badawiya does not win the battle with Dimbo Sadikan. I spoke too soon. Now a throw-in coming for Austin. Next up for Vancouver, they'll be at home for 3 straight matches. 2 here at Swangard and 1 at BC Place. Taking on Dynamo Dos, Ventura County. And then Real Monarchs at BC Place. Trying to add to their success that they've had now at home. A 1-1 draw in their first home match. And now leading 4-0, looking like they will earn all 3 points from this match. And the response much different than their last match. A 2-goal lead they saw vanish at the hands of Tacoma. A 2-goal lead here they've added to. It's grown to 4. to Milosevic, and he will control. Next up for Austin, they will take on Dynamo Dos on the road and then go home to Palmer Field and take on Sporting Kansas City 2 before also taking on Ventura County. Tough going for both of these squads. A foul by Adrian Gonzalez as we're in the 80th minute. TELUS now offering pure fiber internet across Canada. Final 11 minutes and change between Vancouver and Austin. The exact response that Vancouver was looking for. Austin will still have some questions as to how they will solve their scoring problems. Russo already with an assist today and a goal. Cheshla out behind for a Vancouver corner. Ball is sent into the box. It's headed high. Alstrup will see it go over the crossbar. And another corner upcoming for Vancouver. And time will just dwindle off. Vancouver came into today with just 9 goals and was tied for 5th most in the Western Conference. Now they have moved up with 13 total, looking for more. Russo plays this short. Back from Jackson Castro. Russo. Now O'Neal has this back into play, and Alstrup will handle. As it stands right now, with these 4 goals that have been scored by the Whitecaps, they now lead the Western Conference in goals for with 13. Tacoma has 12. Adawia. Gomez. Cheshla. Now Buttercup. Been a rough day for Adrian Gonzalez, a player, as mentioned, that can really put a pressure on a defense. Has not seen a lot of the ball, and really this is one of those matches, if you're Brett Utley in Austin, where not a lot that you can take from it. You go down the man, maybe can dissect how you defend down to 10 men, but it will be one in which just won't be happy that you went down the man with so much time remaining in the match. But similar to the sentiment that Vancouver had after their last match, how do you respond? And that'll be the key for Austin. Still a long season. and a lot of talent on the roster. This is just one of those matches where Vancouver had the advantage and took full control of the man advantage. Cashwele, now Pierre, and he can't double his tally. You can see his disgust with himself as Milosevic was looking for the goalie assist. Pierre is the only one to touch that, and he just could not finish. Cheshla down the sideline. Now Torres. A chance for Austin. Badawia. Now out wide. Ball returns central to Abarca. Austin has had minimal possession in this second half, which you would expect down a man. Badawia cannot slither through a couple of defenders. Pierre sticking with it and does the right thing just to keep possession. Off the 1-2, Antoine Coupland. Can't keep possession. That is off the shoot suit. And a man is down for Austin.
Third substitution for
So you see here as Coupland goes around, that's Abarca, and he just falls down as he's grabbing at the back of his leg. So Abarca will come out along with Anthony Deonda, and Santiago Maynez, as well as Chris Avila, will come on. Ball's given up to Jackson Castro. Castro can't connect with Coupland, but the ball ends up in Antoine Coupland's possession. Dumped forward to Daniel Russo. And Ostrup snags it. Adrian Gonzalez, again amongst the crowd, but calmly reverses field. Less than 3 minutes remain now, plus added time. As Vancouver primed to earn their first win of 2025. Vojvodich into Pierre. Cut back towards Georgievic. And a handball on Georgievic as he is sliding to the ground. I asked Coach Clark, well, what was training like this week with Vancouver? And he said business as usual. Nothing was any different. Didn't want to harp on how their last match went. Felt like there were a lot of good things that they've done, and felt like throughout the first 3 quarters of the match that they were going to come out with at least a result. And so To his surprise, the final scoreline was not what he thought it was going to be. So this match, again, really a wake-up call for Vancouver. And the Caps will look to make the most not only of the outcome, but also stack some success. As that ball comes screaming to the sideline, Whitecaps have to watch their heads on the bench. Those are some of the final numbers. More than 20 shots, 9 of those on target. Copeland keeps that in. Russo cannot, however. And a throw-in coming for Austin. All strips ball comes out. A throw-in coming for Vancouver as we've reached the 90th minute.
Fourth official on the sideline is indicating a minimum of 2 minutes.
The fourth official announcing a minimum of 2 minutes of added time. Vlad Dachutsu. Dachutsu bringing down O'Neal, but O'Neal is the one that's called for the foul. So Austin will have the free kick. Ball is played. Irvin Torres racing forward. Irvin Torres slips behind. Ball's cut back to Torres, but his shot is right at Milosevic. Played one of our minimum of 2. Vancouver. And Daniel Russo still on the ball. Now Georgievic. He has a goal on the day. Russo, a goal and an assist. Now Copeland. Russo. Chin. Castro a flip towards Copeland. He can't control. And with that clearance, the final whistle. Vancouver wins for the first time this season. And they take all 3 points at home against Austin. The final, Whitecaps 4, Austin 0. Now it's time for our man of the match. Plenty of players that could have been picked for Vancouver, but the man who adds to his tally now has a team leading 4 goals on the year. Nelson Pierre, this tap, the finishing touch on the 4-0 victory for Vancouver. With our entire MLS Next Pro broadcast crew, I'm James Hadnot. Once again, our final score, Whitecaps 4, Austin 0. Don't forget you can watch MLS Next Pro all season long at MLS Season Pass and Apple TV and MLSNextPro.com. Have a blessed evening.
This copyright copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.